back to Unscripted, Field of 68's Michigan State basketball podcast, powered by our friends at BetRivers. I am Greg Waddell from Sleepers Media. With me is my co-host, also from Sleepers Media, Carter Elliott, who appears to be a very sad, tall man this morning.
Yeah, basically, sad, tall. Those are my, main describing factors right now, Greg. I can't lie to you. I'm pretty down bad. I try to come to these unscripted episodes with the best attitude that I can. But, I actually have a notebook right below me, and I was making like a pros and cons, like stuff to be, point out the positives, not just focus on the negatives of last night's games. And I actually only have two positive things, and I got about page and maybe a half of negative things. So that's kind of the breakdown of where I'm at with the game yesterday. Not a lot of good things. Definitely not the game that I want to come and talk about on Unscripted, but it is what it is, and we're here.
Yeah, I give you credit for showing up. It's 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. We were going to record late last night, but I figured I'd give you a couple hours to recover. That
was the best decision for us not to record late after last night.
I want to get to your pros and cons list. I'm very excited for that. Let's save that for maybe the mid portion of the show, though. I feel like that could probably carry the whole second half of this show. So we'll get there. Similar to how Mady Sissoko carried the second half for Michigan State last night. 9 points off the bench for Mady. Pretty impressive performance. Maybe that's a pro on your list. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But Mady Sissoko looked like a guy last night. 87-70 is the final score. Michigan with the win, 44-28 at halftime. I listened to some of what DK was saying in the post game last night. And I had two takeaways. First of all, Michigan State fans in general are like to that toxic point of angry that it seems like every fan base gets to once per season, where like you start doing some real toxic shit online. Like, I'm here for the jokes. You probably saw on my feed, like I was firing away my fastball last night with jokes.
Oh yeah, you were.
I was. And I've got more in the tank. Don't worry. But it's still like, don't be mean to other fans. Don't be mean to the players. Like, just be sad together and make jokes about it. That's what people should do. But he made a point that I feel like was lost on me when I watched. DK did, and he basically said like the game was essentially over from 8 minutes in, and I don't think I realized that watching it in real time. I kept kind of thinking, oh, Michigan State could crack the door open, and they're right there. They're only down 11, but like the problem is that when you're Michigan State this season and your best post defender is a guy who cannot play for you, and the rest of your game plan is to single cover Hunter Dickinson, you're not coming back from 10 down. And I think that was the game. Like, Michigan got hot when Michigan State subs came in. They opened up a 12-point lead, and the game was essentially over because they were not going to be able to handle Hunter Dickinson. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing, but it's also it's what this team has been all year. I mean, slow starts have been what's plagued this team in almost every single game. It's just it's more so just disappointing because this shouldn't be a game that you start off slow in. It seems like I don't know, like in a game where it's a rivalry game, we finally get a big win at Purdue. It's March, quote unquote, like it's our time. Tournaments approaching quickly. We want to be playing our best basketball. And if you can't get up for a rivalry game against a team where you have a chance to possibly end your rivals' NCAA tournament hopes, like that just doesn't, it's not good. It's mentally weak to me. And I think that was at the top of my list. I think right now this team is mentally just weak, to be honest. I don't want to attack people and, attack players, don't know what they're going through. But at the same time, like, the product on the floor is a team that basically is not tough enough to get up for basketball games, mentally not there to get up for big games. And it's disappointing because we saw that we were able to do that. Like, we came to play in that Purdue game, and then we were back to square one. It's,
Yeah, I don't like when people do the toughness thing or the dog thing. And we got to get to dog.
There's a difference though.
What's the difference?
Like you can be tough, but you can't. Dog isn't necessarily being tough. You know what I'm saying? Like dog is when you're down or when things aren't going your way, like we can look to you to make a play. I don't necessarily think we have a dog on this team. I think there's players that have some dog mentality, some dog tendencies at times. I think that Malik Hall can do it at times. We've shown the ability to take over in games. I think even AJ Hogard, don't look at skill, don't look at anything else. AJ Hogard thinks he's a dog and has some dog tendencies, right? Toughness, it's just something you got to come out there and, you can't let people punk you, basically. And we got punked in that basketball game. Our defensive effort was soft. That's not tough. Letting guys basically do whatever they want on the offensive end, get open shots, do whatever they want, freedom of movement, talk shit to you. Like, you got Hunter Dickinson busting our ass every single play, looking at us and pointing at our bench. And I don't see anybody just taking that personally. Like,
yeah, I hear you. I've been trying to define what quote unquote DAWG dog means to Michigan State fans for the good portion of my adult life now. I've asked you point blank probably 11 times in the last 12 months, what does dog mean? And I feel like the definition has changed repeatedly. I feel like dog is just a trope that Michigan State fans use to define their best players. Like Cassius Winston was a dog. Draymond Green was a dog. Denzel
but the thing is, though, it's not that's the thing. It's not just being the best player, though. It's not.
Okay, but like this team, I like saying this team has no dogs because they just got ran out of the building by a team that has an All-American player, like, is really dumb to me. When the story here is they don't have talent. Like AJ Hogard and Malik Hall, I believe, have all of the chippy toughness shit that Michigan State fans love. Just Malik Hall plays 19 minutes a game. Like Malik Hall got inserted into the game last night when they were in the middle of the run. He was on the bench during the beginning run, and then he came into the game, back into the game because he started. He got a tough bucket, like stopped the run and talked that shit. That seems pretty dog tendency to me. AJ Hogard was hurt, but AJ Hogard's been great in all of their biggest games this season. Prior to that, he was the best player in the Michigan game the first time. He was great against Purdue. He was great against Kansas in the loss in the first game of the season. Like, I feel like summarizing Michigan State's problems by saying, oh, they don't have a dog or they don't have toughness really just means they don't have talent. They don't have an all-conference player. They don't have an NBA player on this team. And like Max Christie was supposed to be the guy, but he's not the guy, right?
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but this is the thing though. When you don't have talent and you're not tough on top of it, it makes it even worse. That's what I'm really saying. Like sometimes toughness, playing hard can make up for talent.
So give me examples of guys that haven't had talent that have been tough that have succeeded at Michigan State. Tum Tum's the only one that comes to mind for me. And I don't want to do the Tyson Tum Tum thing.
I mean, I don't know because I mean, at the same time when you say that, a lot of players, but they're not necessarily star players. Like Matt McQuaid's a dog. He wasn't necessarily a star player.
Was Matt McQuaid a dog before his senior year when they made a Final Four run because Cassius Winston was great? Like, no, he had the normal.
But you can't take away from what he does because he played next to
the point is Matt McQuaid became a dog because he played with Cassius Winston. Like, what does Gabe Brown look like?
Okay, if that's the case, then no one can be a dog because they play with great players. You're right.
It's a cop out, and it's a really like.
I'm not here to argue about who's a dog or this whole like what is a Spartan dog thing. Like that's. If we're going to do that, we need to move on from that.
I don't either, but that is like you literally summarize what went wrong last night by being like the team doesn't have a dog. And like
they're not they're not tough there.
It's the same shit. They're not talented, is what it really is.
All right, but that comes also with toughness. They're not talented or tough. If
you stuck Cassius Winston or Denzel Valentine or any All-American who's led Michigan State to good teams on this team, we'd probably be saying Gabe Brown's a tough guy and he's a dog. Like they're missing the talent is what they're missing. And that leaves everybody else up to be exposed for their
Gabe Brown is a dog, by the way.
He is. Interesting. Okay. Can we just do your dog power rankings then? I texted you in the middle of the week after the Purdue win, actually. So this isn't me trying to do this as a joke when they're down. I generally want this every single episode going forward. Give me the dog power rankings. I don't know who a dog is on this team. Who's the top 3 dogs right now for Michigan State?
1, AJ. 2, Gabe. 3, Malik Hall.
That's it. I only want 3.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So just to summarize, dog number 1, AJ Hoggard, 2 points and 0 assists in 11 minutes last night. Dog number 2, Gabe Brown, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists in 24 minutes last night. And dog number 3, Malik Hall, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 for 3 from the floor in 19 minutes last night. So yeah, there's your dog power rankings for the week. We'll see if that continues next week. Look, I'm sorry. I don't mean to just get us down a
no. It's a discussion that needs to be had. Also, all our dogs didn't play over 25 minutes. So
yeah, let's move to that. So the next thing that everyone seems to be pretty angry about right now is there's a side that's angry with the rotations, which I think you and I fall into. And then there's a side that's angry with the people who are angry at the rotations, saying, would any minute changes really do anything to change this team? I don't know if it would or would not at this point. I'm not even blaming anybody at this point for mistakes on minutes. I'm just saying that I know for a fact Michigan State's ceiling is not what we thought it could be if Marcus Bingham's playing 9 minutes a game. And I'm not saying Bingham deserves 25 minutes right now, but I'm saying that it's a collective failure by the player, by the staff, that the guy he was in the non-conference has completely disappeared. Because that guy is there somewhere, and that has completely disappeared. And if you want to summarize that and say it's just COVID ramifications, that's a really sad story for his career, and maybe that is just it. But man, he doesn't look like he wants to be out there right now. The staff certainly doesn't want him out there right now. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if he becomes a non-rotation guy by the NCAA tournament. Like, he's basically there right now. And this was a guy who I think was leading the country in block rate in the non-conference. But it's not just Bingham, Cart. That's one. I mean, look up and down the roster. Again, Malik Hall, your captain, your quote-unquote dog, 19 minutes last night. And then Izzo's in the press conference saying that he doesn't know how he can be so inconsistent. So I'm struggling. He's still going 11 deep. I mean, when Izzo turned to Sissoko and Pierre Brooks in the first half, that's when the game was over to me. As Max Christie was shooting his 7th contested shot of the first half, while Pierre Brooks had just checked into the game was over. And I can't understand why he's going 11 deep right now. What do you make of the rotations last night and in general in the season right now?
It just doesn't make sense to me, because I don't think the way we try to establish or try to, I don't know, quote unquote, use our depth matches up with our talent. Like, I'll actually go to Michigan, for example. Michigan, like, they play their main guys 30 minutes a game. Like, they play their best players close to 30 minutes a game. That just never really happens for Michigan State. I mean, no one truly gets consistent minutes unless it's Gabe or Cormac. And those are the only 2 guys that get consistent minutes, no matter if they're playing well or shooting well or not. Those guys are going to get their minutes. Otherwise, everyone else on the team's minutes are sporadic. And I get you want to, I don't know, maybe quote unquote light a fire under a guy, or all those cliche coach bullshit, like about what you want to do to get players going. I mean, I get that, But at the same time, like, why? You can say whatever you want about Bingham not playing, because honestly, it's Bingham, it's as much on him as it is on the staff playing him. Obviously, there's something that he's doing to not play this many minutes. And it's tragic because the best version of Michigan State is when Marcus Bingham is playing and engaged. So that sucks. It really limits the ceiling that wasn't as high as we thought already. But why is Malik Hall playing 23 minutes a game?
19.
After
last night.
Sorry, what did you say?
19 minutes last night.
Why is Malik Hall playing 19 minutes a game? There was nothing I saw last night that warranted Malik Hall to only play 19 minutes a game.
He was inconsistent, Cart, according to Tom Izzo. Unacceptably inconsistent from Malik Hall last night.
Our whole team is unacceptably inconsistent. That's the theme. We're the unacceptably inconsistent team.
Can I ask you this? You played college basketball, Cart, and I've heard stories from you through the years of things that your coaches said, things your coaches did that pissed you off and seemed to be intended to motivate you. And who knows if they did or did not, but I know you were in the doghouse at times in your career. I know you were a very impactful on-court player at times in your career. If you're Malik Hall and you're a captain on this team and you come off the bench for the first 25 games of the season and essentially show that you're the most talented player on the team during that span, and then you get inserted into the starting lineup and you have a couple good games, couple quiet games, but you're in the starting lineup for a couple games. And then this game happens, you get blown out at your rival, you only play 19 minutes. And then in the press conference, your coach says, quote, "The lack of leadership of our seniors and juniors really disappoints me. I'm confused how Malik can play one way and then he plays another way." What do you like? How do you even feel if you're Malik Hall? Aren't you just like, what the hell, coach?
I'm pissed. I'm straight up pissed. Like, it reminds me, it actually reminds me of a situation. My sophomore year, early, I like hurt my ankle in the summer and I came in the season like super, super out of shape. And I played like 5 minutes, I think, in one of the first games of the season or something like that. And of course, I'm pissed because like I had been starting the year before. I expected to play a lot. Obviously, I was out of shape. So, it's probably best they didn't play me. But I played very minimal minutes. And after the game, our coach called me to the front of the bus and he goes, What did you do to help the team win today? And in my head, I'm like, I didn't even fucking play. Like, I didn't do anything. Did I not take my warm-up off correctly? Did I not stand up enough? Like, I don't really know what you're trying to get at here. So if you're Malik Hall, you are, to me, and I think Malik knows this, he knows he's the most talented player on this basketball team. Why is he getting blamed in a game where he's only playing 19 minutes? And I might say in those 19 minutes, like, what did he do that was so like unwarranted not to get him more minutes as well? Like, I honestly didn't think he was that bad in the 19 minutes that he played. He was actually out there for runs at times. And then all of a sudden, Joey Hauser comes to the table. And this is not a shot at Joey Hauser, but like you're making a run with the guy and then you take him off the floor. It just doesn't make sense. Like the second half substitutions yesterday were wild. I didn't even think I thought guys got cut at halftime.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like he gave up on Malik at a certain point, which again was strange. I'm sure there'll be other people that respond to us and be like, "Why does he deserve more? He had 5 points." But like, I don't know. I crave seeing what Malik Hall playing 33 minutes every night looks like, because he might be your all conference guy that we're saying Michigan State doesn't have. If he just was given that opportunity every single night.
And like you can come at the 5 points thing, but come at the 5 points thing if he's like up there in like 26, 27 minutes a game, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting mad because he's got 5 points in 19 minutes and he only had 3 shots.
Yeah. And also, I know you weren't dissing him, but I actually thought Hauser was good last night. I got annoyed that I saw a couple tweets of like, why is Hauser back in the game? It's like, Of all things you want to complain about individually right now, it's Hauser. He was 3 for 4 from the floor, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist in 22 minutes. Like,
I mean, if you really want to think about it, Hauser's been our most consistent player all
Hauser's
year.
been great this season, man. He really has in conference play. So I just wish the all caps, why is Hauser back in thing would go away. Like, you're down 20 and Hauser's played well today. Let's not blame him for any of this. Yeah, I thank you for that story. I think I'd heard that one before, and I don't know. It reminded me of how I would personally feel if I was in Malik Hall's shoes right now, or if I was in Marcus Bingham's shoes a month and a half ago when Izzo was dogging him in the press conference. And I have been very critical of Tom Izzo every step of the way when he antagonizes his own players in the press conference. I don't get it. That's not how I would lead. That's not how I would motivate. I don't think it's what's best for these players. I get Tom Izzo's a Hall of Famer. He has a better pulse on this team than I ever would. But I don't think you can point to this and say this has worked for Marcus Bingham. I don't think his motivational tactics have flipped him. I don't think Malik Hall's suddenly going to become a great player because he gets called out in a press conference. Like, to me, this is just deflecting and pointing fingers from a head coach who really should point a lot of fingers at himself right now. Am I crazy for that?
No. I mean, if you think about it, I think you pointed it out on Twitter last night. Like, part of the reason that this team doesn't have the talent right now is on him. Like, he's had a lot of recruit misses in this past couple of years. His reluctancy to get into the portal is hurt this team currently, and moving forward is one of the scariest thoughts that keeps me up at night, is that this team's not gonna, we have a head coach that is verbally, adamantly against the transfer portal. And you want to know the worst part about it is, I think he has a staff that is just basically miniature versions of Izzo. They're not going to come back at him. They're not going to call him out on anything. They're basically going to follow under him. They're his little minions.
Stevens is a jumbo-sized version of Izzo.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they probably feel, they're like, Tom said no transfer portal. That means no transfer portal. We're all as one. Spartan dogs.
So
like,
I've heard different on that, though. And I don't know what you've heard. You're probably in more circles than I am even on this. But like, I've heard that there's a lot of pressure internally for Tom to hit the portal this season.
Really? So, from who though?
Well, I have a source, but I believe it. I believe that to mean both staff and administration are pretty pointed in the fact that, like, you're going to need to hit the portal.
I think it'd be more so administration than staff.
Okay, we'll see. Speaking of sources, do you want to, we're not going to reveal a source, but I know a source came with some pretty targeted Marcus Bingham criticisms. Do you want to speak to those at all? You aren't the only one who heard that, by the way. I saw a lot of people got that.
Yeah, just basically, like, it's just sum it up. Marcus Bingham's doing himself no favors to get on the floor. Like, it sucks that he's in this position. He's put himself in a position where he's not. I just think he's checked out. He's checked out, and I think his team and I think the coaches know that as well. And Bingham himself knows he's checked out. Can
I give you one Marcus Bingham story from?
I would love a Marcus Bingham
from me
story.
Personally. So I think people know this. I coach basketball. I coach a high school team in Kalamazoo now. I used to live in Lansing, where I coached an 8th grade team for 3 or 4 years. And my last year as an 8th grade coach, this class is now sophomores in college, I believe, and their freshman year was the COVID year, so nobody was really on campus. I have a player on one of my 8th grade teams who is now a sophomore in college at Michigan State. And when things opened back up, he texted me and was like, hey, if you're ever in East Lansing, like, let's get some food or something. Let's link up. So I did this football season. I went down and just basically had breakfast with the kid. Really good kid. And just catching up, like, how's college? How are things? Well, are you playing basketball still? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Come to find out, this kid, like, is very, quote unquote, close with Marcus Bingham. Like, says Marcus texts him every single weekend, like, all this stuff, all these stories. And I mean this as no disrespect to my own player, who maybe he's listening to this. If you are, I love you, kid. But like, I listen to that story and I'm like, it's October and Michigan State's starting center is hitting up like this 5'11" Lansing Catholic alum to see what he's doing on the weekends every night. And no offense, but like I can't imagine any Michigan State great basketball player really doing that a month before the season starts. So take that for what it is. I don't know. It sounds like Bingham's priorities personally are a little bit off compared to what you would need from a center.
He looks checked out.
Yeah, I think everybody can feel safe with that. All right, Car. I wanna quickly play a game of you ranking Tom Izzo's quotes from his press.
Wait, can I say one last thing about the checkout thing though?
Yeah.
I'm glad. I don't know why I just raised my hand. Sorry about that. But yes, it's on Bingham as a player that he's checking out. But this doesn't exclude Izzo for the fact that these past 3 years, you haven't established anything to get the best out of Marcus Bingham so that he doesn't check out. How do you have a guy for 4 years and you don't know what buttons to push with him? Is that just is what it is? Like, we just got to accept that?
Maybe. I mean, we know Tom Izzo's stubborn. I don't know. I just think it's a failure. I wouldn't say it's the staff's fault. I wouldn't say it's Marcus Bingham's fault, but it's a collective failure that this player has not gotten near where his ceiling should be.
I know. I just say it every time. Like, different dudes respond differently, and different dudes are coached different ways. Like,
Tom Izzo isn't going to coach differently. We know that.
All right, that's just a flaw of him, and I guess it is what it is.
It seems to be his way or the highway, and his way has worked with almost every team in his career. Is not working with this team, in my opinion. And last thing on Bingham and just I guess the quote unquote seniors in general. Why on earth would Marcus Bingham want to come back for a 5th year?
He's not coming back.
I said this week on Twitter, I'll eat a shoe if Marcus Bingham comes back. And then Graham Couch was like, well, I'm going to actively push him to come back now. But a lot of people, just State fans, responded to me and were like, I don't know why I'd be so quick on this one. Like, why would a player want to come back to play for this coach in this situation right now? He's playing 9 minutes in their biggest game of the season. And again, like, his leadership, his effort is questioned at every single turn, rightfully so. Like, what? He wants to come back and work on his body now in his 5th year to get him ready for the pros now when he hasn't for 4 seasons. I think his relationship is just tarnished with the staff. I get it. Yes, he's a good teammate. It seems like all the players like him. It seems like he's a very supportive guy on the bench. But like, why? Why would Marcus Bingham come back? And while we're at that, why would Gabe Brown come back? Why? If Gabe Brown's leadership is just being questioned every single turn right now, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess. And that's another weird thing. I don't know why he's questioning Gabe Brown's leadership, because I mean, Gabe hasn't been shooting the ball or playing well, but at least his effort's been there.
He didn't call Gabe Brown out by name. He said our seniors and juniors, which, I mean, I'd take as a pointed shot at the captains, though, Malik Hall and Gabe.
Right.
And Marcus Bingham. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. I think there's a bit of delusion from State fans who just seem to think, oh, they might want to come back for a 5th year. Like, why? And honestly, why would the staff even want these guys back? No offense. Like, I know Gabe Brown can be a useful player, but like, if we're saying all of the problems with his team come back to toughness and mentality and lack of leadership, why would you want your upperclassmen back? Like, just do a little reset, do a little fresh start, make it the Akins-Christie era, hopefully fill some blanks in the transfer portal, and maybe it's a win-win for both sides. All right, Tom Izzo quotes. I want you to give me a like you're rating an Uber driver, 5 stars down to 0 stars. I have 3 quotes written down, and yeah, we'll just fly through these. We've already spoken to some of them. I'll start with the one we have spoken with. The lack of leadership really disappoints me. I'm confused how Malik can play one way and then he plays another way. 5 stars down to 0 stars. What is your ranking for that quote?
1 star. Like I already said, like, he played 19 minutes. Like, if I would understand blame, what is Malik Hall? What should Malik Hall have done yesterday?
Score 20 points and be the dog, Cart. He's got to be the dog.
What's he supposed to like? What do you expect him to do?
Just I need him to be the dog cart. I need him.
And also, while we're speaking on like, hearing from sources and things like that, I've heard that Malik Hall has been a player on this team who's been trying to get guys to rally or get guys to buy in. And some guys aren't as reluctant to buy in. So I don't know. It seems weak to blame. You're talking about putting things on Spartan dogs. I think it's weak sometimes to blame the seniors and juniors when you're playing that junior 19 minutes a game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fingers to point at this team right now. And a finger at Malik Hall is about the last finger I would point. Like, yes. We can go up and down the list. Maybe
I think that's a cliche. So 1 star.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, maybe again, if I just personally, maybe if I was Tom Izzo and I've made my decision, I'm going to go to the press conference and point fingers. There's a couple other guys. Can I name who's point fingers at?
Who that played last night would you point the finger at first?
Well, I guess I don't blame him, but I would definitely point a finger at Max Christie's direction. He takes horrible shots. He does nothing offensively that helps this team right now. He's being asked to do way too much, but he kind of has to on this roster. We said that preseason. There's a lot of pressure on Max Christie to be a force offensively, and if he's not able to do that, the team's going to struggle.
I would probably either point at Max or Tyson.
I was going to say number 2 is Tyson, because you have a point guard who, by all accounts, is a great scorer off the dribble who refuses to score off the dribble. So again, but no, let's point the finger at the guy who plays 19 minutes, the captain, who seemingly has done everything well. There's a lot of fingers to point. I didn't like that one. 2 more quick ones, Cart. This is what he led his press conference with last night, quote unquote, give them credit, I guess. 1 star, 5 star.
Actually, I'm going to give that a pretty good ranking. I'm going to give that like a 4 star. Because like, give them credit, but also like we gave it to them. It was so easy for Michigan offensively yesterday. Just no resistance at all. It was so easy. So, I mean, credit to them. They took advantage of it, but we basically gave it to them.
I guess. Okay. And then last one, he followed up the give them credit, I guess, with this. He said, Williams has 6 threes all conference season. He hits 3 tonight. Jones is 17%. He hits 1 tonight. Your thoughts?
1 star.
Weird guys hit shots, Cart. Quote unquote weird guys. That's
you want to know another W word for guys that hit shots? Guys that are wide ass open. Jesus.
Just a lot of deflecting from Tommy, who was visibly upset with Hunter Dickinson. Should we talk about that?
I mean, shit.
Listen, you are the leader of the why get a bucket if you're not going to let someone know you gave them a bucket club. Hunter Dickinson seems to be a prominent figure in that club these days. Now, there are also some front runner tendencies with Hunter Dickinson that we will address on the Sleepers podcast. I am not the biggest Hunter Dickinson fan as a Michigan fan. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's arguably the second best player the program's had in the last decade behind Trey Burke. But we were at the game against Illinois. Different guy that day than what we had against Julius Marble for 30 minutes.
As an advocate of the talk your shit when you get a bucket fan club, we do have some rules and some regulations. It isn't just something you can just join and do whatever the hell you want. And one of the many rules is that you got to keep that same energy. And I do not think that Hunter personally keeps that same energy. It seemed he had a lot of energy in this game, as he should, because he wasn't anywhere to be found in the second half of the Illinois game. So maybe he was well rested. But just on the surface level, like, I'm not mad at it. Like, he was busting our ass. He had 30. And probably about 12 of those were on just back to back, like just feeding us. And he was giving us buckets. So let him talk his shit. I'm not mad at him for that. Like, you got to talk your shit. But also note, energy must be kept the same.
It was pretty intentional, I would say. Like, I think Hunter knew what he was doing, and it seemed that he was trying to get under somebody's skin, whether that's Tom Izzo, whether that's Michigan State's. I mean, he did. We've seen this before with him, like Maryland. Every single bucket he got, he turned to Turgeon, and I mean, it led to tensions with Turgeon and Juwan Howard. It led to a lot of bullshit between those teams.
Well, I didn't think about this, but also the first game, the narrative was that we quote unquote locked Hunter Dickinson up. I mean, he had 25, but it took a lot of shots to get there, and he really struggled and missed a lot of shots at the rim. So I think that might have been like a little factor on it, have something to do to it. Maybe he was trying to help us. Maybe he's like, put the 7-footer in.
He did say this after the game, which I greatly enjoyed. He said Izzo and him did shake hands, and then his quote was, you heard his quote. He said he was going to shake hands regardless.
That's funny.
Hunter wants to be the villain very badly, and he lived up to that last night.
Yeah, I like how happy Michigan is right now. That brings me joy.
Phil Martelli had the best quote of the night, though, right after the game. He said, Hunter got engaged with the other team for no apparent reason other than he's Hunter. So apparently they just kind of accept that. All right, I do want to get to your pros and cons list before we wrap, but quickly, I don't even need commentary from you on this unless you want to give it. Caleb Houston, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 1 turnover, and he sat the majority of the first half due to fouls. Max Christie, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers in 31 minutes. The only player on Michigan State's team to play 31 minutes.
Yeah, Caleb's better than him.
Yeah, just remember that. And just, you've swung back and forth on that. Just make sure you remember that. That's all I want. All right, let's go to your pros and cons list.
Pros.
Wait, actually, I'm sorry. I'm not done with that. Max Christie looked like he was missing a piano recital that he was really upset he was missing last night. That's 100% how he hooped.
Yeah, Max, he just makes it so tough on himself. He doesn't even give himself a chance.
It's like, what was the movie? The Disney Channel movie, like Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. That's what it was last night. Like he just wanted to be at a piano recital instead, but his dad forced him to play in this rivalry hoop game. So he had to go chuck shots and go 4 for 12 from the floor.
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. Wow. Okay. That's great. That's what I want my 5-star to be referred to as. Nice. Okay, let's get to this pros list.
Yeah.
Quick on the pros.
Give me the pros.
There's not that many. I thought that Jaden Akins was great last night. I thought that he showed some things as far as just expanding off the playing with energy. I thought he showed some things as far as being able to shoot and you play off the bounce as well. I thought that was good. Say what you want about Marcus Bingham playing, but as far as what we've seen in previous games with Mady Sissoko, that was quote unquote a really good Mady Sissoko game. Defensively, not so great, but he gave us some things on offense and he at least was out there trying and running. Okay. That ends the pros list, by the way. That's it.
Okay. I want to echo you on Akins, though. Akins looked really good.
Yeah.
You got a guy in the backcourt who can make shots off the dribble. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cons. Ooh. For starters, there's no reason that Malik Hall should ever play under 25 minutes unless he has a pending charge or any other circumstances that he cannot control. Another con. This team seems to want to pass open good looks to take bad looks. Don't really know what the deal is with that or if it's a coaching philosophy, but the fact of the matter is they would rather take a bad look than a good look, which makes it tougher on our offense.
Can I get some examples of those looks? The only thing that comes to mind for me is Christie's off the dribble too.
Christie and also Gabe. Gabe, he just cannot. He's awful at reading screens. Like when you're coming off screens, if a guy goes under, fade to the corner. If a guy chases you, curl hard. And right when you curl hard, you have a split second sometimes to make a decision. Are you going to go all the way or are you going to pull up? But instead, this team's like, nah, I'm going to take 1 or 2 dribbles, get to the free throw line, maybe slow up a little bit, let that defender catch up, and then take the jump shot. I think this team as a whole passes up I don't know. I think in their head, they're thinking too much. They're like, okay, yeah, this is a good look, but we can pass it up for a great look. But the great look never comes, so they just pass up good looks.
I have a different read on it than you. I just think that their wings are extremely limited players as far as what they have in their bag off the dribble. I think that Gabe Brown is a strictly catch and shoot player. And if you go under on screens, you make Gabe Brown look like an All-American. If you go over on screens and you chase him, he has no counter, none whatsoever. And I don't think.
Okay, but my counter to that point is you don't necessarily have to be good off the dribble. That this is why Gabe needs to be better.
Well, I don't think he's good at catching and shooting off the move either. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like he's not good. Like his footwork isn't there. Like
yeah.
And because he can't dribble, it makes it even worse, is what I'm saying.
But I don't think that's like a calculated decision. I just think he has he doesn't have that. That's why he's never going to play in the NBA, even though he's a 45% shooter who's 6'9". Like,
right. I'll cross off the count list.
Also, I'm sorry, Max Christie. Again, zero bag whatsoever. I know he's a 5-star. He chose Michigan State over Duke. I think there's a lot of growth for him to come. I think he's going to be a great college player. But like right now, he has zero bag, none whatsoever. Like his only move that he's capable of is a one dribble pull up. And more often than not, when he does the one dribble pull up, he dribbles into a more contested shot than he would have if he had just catch and shot.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty out on Max Christie right now, Card. He's not helping the team.
Yes. Okay. Of course. Let's see here. Tyson Walker's ability to be a 6-foot non-defensive Ben Simmons on offense really kills our team. The fact of the matter that he can score 27 in a game where people are playing drop coverage and then come to a game like this where Dickinson's doing the same and not even look at the rim is one of the most baffling things in Michigan State basketball history.
Is it baffling at this point, though?
No, but as a whole, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it should be something different than it is. But like that, at what point, again, I'm going back to Tum Tum versus Tyson, man. At what point do you really just finally decide that maybe Tyson's not a better player than Tum because Tyson thinks he's Tum? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just why? If this is all about a hypothetical of promise that he's capable of, and that's why he's better. That's why we believe in Tyson Walker. Like, at what point do you just draw the line and say this is unacceptable that the guy refuses to play like he believes he's capable of?
Right. And then we try to do things such as like playing two guards and kind of making them more off the ball. And he still doesn't want to shoot.
Yeah.
It's just
tough.
Baffling. Let's see what else we have here. I don't know. Some of these are just like, I think I wrote ugh in one of these spots just because I was frustrated. And the next one after that's a scribble. Player development for this year's team. We harp on Izzo being a guy who he develops guys. They stay 4 years and they might come in not good and they'll leave not good. Or I'm sorry, they'll leave like a better player, like making steps and strides. You know, you point to players like Marcus Bingham, haven't really made strides. Not all on the staff, but just saying, hasn't made that many strides. Gabe, don't think that he's made as many strides as people think. I think that with Gabe, honestly, most of it is the fact of the matter is this is the first year that he's playing major minutes. Like, imagine if he was playing major minutes last year or even more minutes the year before that or something like that. Not major, but more than what he was playing in the past couple of years. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he can make take the next step in his game or something like that. But it's over now. He's a senior. He's out of there. I think those are kind of the main points of my cons list, to be honest. The rest of them are just some personal things I don't want to speak.
Can you fly through them? Just no commentary. Just fly through the others.
Okay. Our tallest player on our team hates basketball. Our coaching staff can't dress. I don't know. It's just stuff like that.
Okay. I greatly enjoyed those last two. Thank you for that. Yeah, look, to summarize all of this, really bad night for Michigan State. They ran into Hunter Dickinson, who is an All-American level guy. who played his best, had a chip on his shoulder. They had no answers. Everybody had an off night, including the coaching staff and including the players on the floor. Michigan State is now 19-10 on the season. I would argue that's right where they should be based on the talent they have, if not a little bit of an overachieving year. They are 40th on KenPom. The metrics are souring on the Spartans a little bit. In comparison, Michigan is now up to 29th on KenPom. They've been neck and neck all season long. But this team's going to make the tournament and may or may not win a game. And then you get a refresh for next year, right? Like that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a refresh for next year. What are we refreshing?
I mean, I think if you think the problem is a lack of DAWG and a lack of leadership, I would think you think that could change going into next season.
I think lack of talent takes over that.
I also think that can change if you believe that Christie and Akins are the core of next year's team.
I agree. But in the back of my head, like, I don't know, I'm just scared. I'm scared that
you're scared of a 12-man rotation next year with
I'm scared of this. I'm scared of this same exact thing. I'm scared of we have our best players playing 20 minutes a game. I'm scared of that. It's a thought that's always going to be in the back of my head.
Yeah, I think the way Tom Izzo approaches the transfer portal will be very telling, because I think the fan base is ready to sour on Tom Izzo, depending on how he approaches that. Let me leave you with this, Cart. There's been buzz. There's been is Izzo done buzz in the fan base. Should he be done? That's what a lot of people have said. I'm just going to ask you point blank. Not going to ask if he should be fired. Kind of similar to my thoughts on Juwan Howard after the incident. I'm not saying he should be fired, but I said openly, I, as a fan, don't want Juwan Howard to be the coach of my team. Do you, as a fan, want Tom Izzo to be the head coach of Michigan State basketball next season?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want him to be the head coach 4 years from
now? We'll talk about. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
All right. I may have to keep doing a pulse check with you on that, but good to know. Any final words for the people, Cart?
Anybody who is saying that they think Izzo should be fired right now, I think you should pull your car into the top of your driveway, put it in neutral, and then go lay at the end of your driveway.
As always, this episode was brought to you by the good folks at BetRivers. At Ohio State, home to Maryland, still this week, Cart. What's the record? A split? 2-0, 0-2?
0-2.
I think they split. They're going to beat Maryland at home. And Ohio State's
you said the same thing when I said they were going to lose to Penn State and Illinois.
EJ Liddell tricks people, by the way.
EJ Liddell had 25, 12, and 5 last game.
Hey, kudos to him, because a back-to-back 15-point loss at Maryland and 8-point loss at home to Nebraska is really getting it done for Liddell's All-American hopes. We'll see. That's a beatable team. That's all I'm saying for Michigan State right now. We'll see. Thank you, Cart, for powering through. I appreciate you. Turn that frown upside down, buddy. It's March. It's Tom Izzo's month. We'll see you next week.